to take a tour of Matilda Phifer's house, and she's going to show us all her paintings.
Do you want to start in the hall?
Okay.
The light is the same, it's not light today.
Yes.
This is in Germany with palette knife. And this is a watercolor, the blackberry.
You did that one in Germany?
Yeah.
Was it like a...
Just a pass, for instance.
Oh, you sat down and outside
I do
and did it?
sketches in my sketchbook, and then I do sketches, and then when I come home I can do it. And sometimes I have to take a picture so that I can do it, you know.
Oh, I see.
This is a watercolor, which my husband got fixed every time he pulled one up on the side of the road, you know, the branches and all. And he did it for my still life and all, but that was a little different technique done with oil paper. And I took a picture of her and did her. And she said this whole thing was made of shells. She had made it.
Oh.
And this is over at Longport. And now the sand's piled high and you can't see it, but this is the way it was a few years back. And this is Venice.
Did you paint that while you were over there?
I'll show you the sketch upstairs when I take you up there, yeah.
Okay.
And this is
We got a glare. Maybe you should turn that light off. I have a bit of a glare on the glass. Well, it's still there. I guess it's on the door. Yeah. It'll probably still come out.
That's a rubbing in Thailand.
Uh-huh.
And this is rice paper, and then you, like you rub on a coin, you rub your charcoal across it, and now they won't let you do it because everybody's ruining the thing.
Matilda, you can turn the light back on.
All right.
Okay.
And this is in Plymouth.
Oh, what was this down here?
That was Little Midnight Scene.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's Belle.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a young girl doing her hair. I never saw an artist doing a girl
down
doing her
here.
hair, so I thought I would just like to do something different.
Yeah.
And then this is in Plymouth where the college kids go, and they dress like they did in 1620, and they have the houses like they had it then, and with a gravel floor, and they pose for. She came to the door and posed for me.
Oh, nice.
There's a thing that explains, you know, all about it. And then Plymouth, Plimoth is the way they spelled it. And this is a little Chinese girl was in my class. And
what about this over here?
That's a clown. I did him on the boardwalk, and it's hard for you to get back and see that. I did him on the boardwalk, and he was the tallest, skinniest fellow I ever saw, and he was blowing these balloons and giving them to the children, and then he would pass the hat to the parents. But the funny thing about it is I didn't have a sketchbook, I didn't have a camera, I didn't have anything with me, so what I did was I just put it in my head and remembered it when I came home.
Neat.
So sometimes I do that. And this is in Washington Square in New York.
Yeah.
And these are men that come and play checkers or chess, and they bring their own checkers or chess, and these tables and benches are always there. And across here is Columbia University, part of it. We know where that is? Yes.
This is a pretty room here.
I love this little room. It's very small. I did the little boy, and I'll show you him in the dining room, Georgie. And when I did him, his mother bought it, and then I did another one, and I had it for exhibit, which I'll show you. And then when I wanted him to pose again, he made a face, and I just said he's making a face. And then the chestnut and the brandy glass with the orchid and the little flower sketch. And then over here is one of my favorites. It's a long time ago, but this was that's the tree witch.
Wow.
See, I have a swamp witch, tree witch. I've done a lot of witches, and I've sold them, but I do have two left. And then this was the little boys, Jimmy and Larry Love and Michael, and they were in my class, and look how dirty their hands and their smocks were and all. I got a big kick out of it.
Yeah.
And they were doing Sleepy that I had set up for them to draw. You're going to have, I got so many things, it's going to take you about an hour to do just the pictures. This is, when you put the wire, the shape you want it, and then you put modeling clay, and then you put paper mache, and then paint it. And they take quite a bit of time, and the reason they're broken up is because when my grandchildren or anybody comes in, they take a hold of them, and then this had a little banjo in her, or little ukulele. No, not a ukulele. Little round, what do you call it, banjo? No, not a banjo.
I don't know.
A tambourine, you know, and,
Oh, tambourine.
it's broken, it's gone now. I don't do that very often. It takes a lot of time, you know. And then out here, it's a shame it's dark. You can't see as well today because it's raining. This is the Thames in London. And then the wood you make my car, and then this, I do sculpture too, with my nude and statue. And this is the bridge, the two. That's very hard to see. See? The boy and girl meeting on the corner.
Oh,
That's carved out of wood.
Yeah.
Is it better to have the lights on, you think?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, all right. And then over here is still life, and I went out in the field. You got corn husks, and you got different things, and there's a green. Actually, what is the name? They grow, and they're not good to eat or anything, but they make a nice thing for a still life. So I did that. And then this is Taiwan, where Chiang Kai-shek took all his treasures, and the building that he has isn't very pretty on the outside, but it's a gorgeous things inside. And this was up in the hills in Taiwan. This is taking a model, and this is the lilacs that I did. In Thailand, I carried them home. These are things in Aruba and Hawaii, and this is the Russian bear. Now he's cute. Look. He's perfectly made and rolls over. Well, not if he's stopping, he doesn't. But he,
Did you get him in Russia?
yes. I went to Russia.
As a worldwide traveler.
And we lived in South America.
Oh, yeah.
Rio, Matilda?
Yeah.
Oh, you've really been around.
Yeah. I have. I've been very lucky. And this is from Africa. There's this was Aruba, and this was up in the Canadian where the dogs do that, and this was Japan. This was Alaska. So I have them all over, you know, different places. Oh, this is the little in Norway.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah. Feels like rock. I don't know just what it is, but I enjoyed getting that. And then out here, this is Kyoto. It used to be the capital of Japan, and my daughter is now gone, but she wanted it, and now my granddaughter wants it, so I can't sell it to anybody, you know.
Yeah,
I've
pretty.
sold so many. I think in the last few months, or let's say half year, I have sold about 20 pictures, and I have given that many away. So what you're seeing is what's left and what's around. And that's the little boy that was in the other room, and I showed you when he made his face.
Yeah.
Well, the first one his mother bought, and then I did this one in one ribbons on him, Jordan, and then I made the one with his face. And this is the Saturday girl in Millville. And this is May took me down off the Sea Isle of the Bay.
Oh, that's
and
pretty.
I got out of the car and took a picture of this because it was half of a rainbow. It was unusual
That's really
size.
pretty.
Yes. And then this is on the St. Lawrence waterway. And our boat stopped there long enough so I could just make a little sketch. And then this was given to me by Phil Turner. He saw my pictures and liked them and came back and gave me the bouquet, so I painted the bouquet, the bird of paradise.
Oh, nice.
And then this is a little girl in my class. And this is flowers that my son-in-law gave me after my daughter died. He remembered my birthday and gave them to me.
Oh,
But
that's
she
nice.
always gave me flowers on my birthday, so yeah.
He gave you those flowers and you painted a still life of them.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And then I have some in the kitchen. I don't want to be in the rain with flowers here. This is Matilda Day.
Oh, what a cute kitchen, Matilda.
Thank you. Little girls in Coney Island and the fruit, of which I ate as soon as I had Then I had it for my lunch. This is a very interesting picture because this was in Dubrovnik, which is the lower part of Yugoslavia. And this woman, it's a walled-in city. It's a beautiful place. And she put a paper on her head because it was so hot, and they were standing there laughing, so I just caught that at that
Oh,
time.
wow, that's wonderful.
And that's the little Dutch, they're dolls, and I put them up and then made the Dutch background.
That's cute.
And then, there's a...
Oh, a pretty kitchen. I can see why you like this house, Mother.
This was the first thing I ever did with plaster. And this is my
Who is that?
Nobody, just
Oh,
to
it's
make
very
a face.
interesting
I
face.
studied with Ferdakis over in Atlantic City.
Oh.
And that was the first thing I ever did. And this was my grandson when he was 2 1/2.
Oh,
And that's a concert sketch. And then this is Herb Clark's house over on the way to Tuckahoe Inn, the old schoolhouse. He remodeled it.
Yeah.
And he has extended a couple rooms out in the back. And it's a very nice place. And this is just a quick pastel one night. And this is Sherry Ambrosini. I've won several ribbons on her. In fact, I have 192 ribbons now.
Pretty
So
little girl.
I just don't exhibit anymore. I think I don't need the ribbon, and I don't have the strength to carry pictures around.
Right.
So I don't. Her mother was my
Who-
mother's hairdresser.
Who's this up here?
I don't know. She was just a model.
Oh, okay.
And then in here, this is my swamp witch.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a girl, but it's 2 men in a boat, and the island, and the swamp trees.
Neat.
And this is in Tahiti. I went there with Mildred Pepper.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
That's after my husband had died and after hers had died. And she had been around the world several times and she had never been to Tahiti. And I wanted to go into Australia, but she just wanted Tahiti, so that's all we did
So
that
was
trip.
Tahiti really beautiful?
Yes, it was
Really?
very nice. We saw the cabins where Marlon Brando
Oh, really?
yeah, had made the movie, and it was interesting. But once you've seen the islands, you've seen them. Now this is a windmill in Spain. Now you don't think of windmills in Spain. You always think of them in Holland and all, but this one
Yeah.
happened to be in Spain. And this is the down at Wheaton Museum.
Where is that museum?
It's outside of Millville.
Oh,
And I
okay.
did this house with a pump in front of it, and Mary Wheaton bought it, and this is the only one I have left. The flowers and the northern coast of this is Montmorency, and it's on the coast of Normandy, France. It's an island. It used to be a pirate's place, and they took the stuff there, but now there's a causeway to it, and you don't have to go by boat. And this is in Manayunk.
Oh, that's a sweet picture.
And this is the fellow, I don't know who he was, but he was painting that, so I did a picture of him painting that.
Oh, that's neat.
And this one is in Italy, and that's the Naiad Fountain. And this back here is the new modern railroad station. That's watercolor. And this is Sepp Earhart, who, he's very famous now. The first time I went there was just with my first husband. There was a sleepy little town with just, the cows came along the side of you and all. It was most interesting.
And where was this?
In Oberabigal, where they have the Passion Play. So
Oh.
the first time I was there, it was just a sleepy little town, but then I went with Bob, my second husband. I went with him, and we saw the Passion Play then. That was very interesting. And then this, Sepp Earhart, I asked about him, where he was, because I had talked to him before and did his picture. And they said, oh, he's famous now. He's got a nice home up in the mountains. And he did the angels on the sculpturing for the Kennedy Airport. And this is over in Norma, just a little stream and all. This is a bouquet my granddaughter gave me with a little house. I have the house out in the kitchen. I guess I showed it to you. Now you have to come over here if you want to see this. This is a friend of mine in Vinan, and she adopted these two girls, Betsy and Becky. And I have a picture upstairs interesting thing about that was my daughter brought home Louise with her for the weekend from University of Delaware, and when she did, why, I remember my friend bringing in this magnolia, and here I was getting a big dinner for them, so I'd rush out to the oven and then come back and do something on the watercolor and then go back, and I remember that because a watercolor, I mean a magnolia to do in watercolor is a little difficult, but the fact that if you don't do it that day, the next day it's all brown and gone, so I had to do it that way. And I always remember, and whenever she comes over to see me, she still stops and sees me. She lives in Wilmington, and she stops to see me and tell me about remembering this and everything. It's very nice. I have a nude in the bathroom if you want to see that. You want a light?
Okay. That's a really pretty bathroom.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I like that wallpaper and all. And tile floor. Is that tile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all tiled, all, you know.
It's
the whole
beautiful.
thing. And then here in the bedroom, oh my gosh, this is family and people, friends. I have 7 or 8 former students, and one has written to me. I remember he said, you know, I don't ever think I'll get to a museum like you, and every year my husband and I went. One time we were 3.5 months, and one time 4.5 months on this trip, and get a car and drive all over.
Yeah, neat.
And so we had wonderful times. And he said, I don't think I'll ever get to see the museums like you do. And I said, yes, you will. Someday you will stand there and you'll remember your teacher saying you will, and you are there. So every time he's gone, he sent me a postcard or a catalog from Japan. And he has sent me things from all over. Now, this is the last picture, and it was of him and his wife. And he's in politics. He went to Georgetown, and he's in politics now. And he still sends me cards. And then I have a Madeline Irell, and she teaches in college down in Tucson, and she sends me cards, and she came to see me a couple times from when she came east. And her mother came too. They had all been in my class at one time or another. And then I have Bob's family and my family and duplicate pictures, and oh my, this is the surfboard, you know.
Was that here in Ocean City?
Yes. And this is
Is this New York? Right
yes,
there?
that's the park. It's and Central Park, Central Park and Fifth Avenue, and that's Wallman Park, but they go skating there.
Boy, that's nice.
That's just a quick impression. Aren't these flowers pretty out of the window?
Yeah.
They're starting to go now, but they've been here. Now here's Helen Presser. She made this dress, and I thought she looked so nice. And I got a linen canvas and did her, and had it framed and all. And her husband didn't like it because he said, I don't want you in costume. I'd rather have you just the way you are. And she said, you save it for me. So I don't know. Someday she might want it. And this one is sold. My sister-in-law is buying it for her daughter for Christmas, and she wanted it. Mrs. Chardor's hat shop. She's the gray-haired lady, and the other one, Mrs. Hamilton, is her assistant. And they couldn't understand why I wanted to do it in the back because, after all, the hat displays were out in the front, and they were so pretty. And I said, no, I want to do it where you're working. But that's the thing of the past. There's no hat shops anymore.
No.
Everybody, you know, nobody wears a hat. And then lilac. And then that's back of our hotel in China.
Oh,
They were playing mahjong, and I stood there a while and watched them, and they played so fast you couldn't see what the tiles were. I don't know how they could do it. And then the little tiny one is the Golden Pavilion. I did an oil for Elida Kirshner, and that's just a sketch that I did on the spot.
Yeah.
And this is, I came down from Vineland, and I taught the Colony Club for 2 years on a Wednesday. And when it came down, they wanted me to do something to show them how to do the ocean. So this was from the music pier, looking over to the ocean, and that's what I did it, so that they see how to
That's nice.
how to do the ocean. Yeah. And then I'll take you upstairs to show you in my studio and all. The Harry Method, that was a wonderful book. But in color, you won't believe it. It's gorgeous. I'm glad Isabel's going with me. I want to show her. It's really nice.
Marvelous fun. Where will you eat?
In the dining room in the Metropolitan. Yeah. The last time I went across the street and ate where Grace Kelly ate, and it was $40 for the lunch. This is my studio. And this is the pictures that I have just about finished. And this is a little girl. Here's her mother gave me this picture of her, but she didn't want it too dark in the background. She wanted it a little bit lighter, so I tried to get it a little bit lighter. I said, how come you want to do her with a Christmas hat on? Well, she had won it at Christmas time. I don't know whether it was a prize at that time or what, but anyway, she wanted it, and so that's the way I did it. You know?
That's nice.
And that's for that. And then this is the Land's End. That one on the floor. That's Land's End, and it's off of the tip end of London, of Great Britain. It's called Land's End. That's another one of Manny Young's that I did first, and then I made the oil from it. And a little sketch of my daughter.
Which one? Oh, yeah, okay.
The charcoal one.
Yeah.
This is the twins again. That's the Becky in the bathtub. Now I would say that's the hardest thing to do, a portrait of in watercolor. And they give watercolor to all the kids in school because it's cheaper. They can't afford oils for each one, so they give them watercolors, and if you make a mistake, it's ruined. It's one of the hardest mediums to do, and yet they give it to them. They don't realize that. And this is Alfred's Alley. I've won ribbons on that, too. And this is in Greece. That was Norway. You wouldn't believe it, but it was. And that's it's along the Cornwall coast. And this one down here is St. Mark's Square. I had a girl say, if you ever do it, let me know. So I did finish it at St. Mark's Square in Venice. And then this one is Montauk Point.
Where's
That's the end
that?
of Long Island.
Oh, that's nice.
And I've done a lot of lighthouses. And I wanted to have a collection of lighthouses. And I started them. And then everybody came in and bought one. And then I just didn't have a chance to do anything about it. This is Emmett Kelly back here. Haven't quite finished it.
Nice.
And this one is along the Rhine in Germany. And here's Lilac again. And this is another one in the Plymouth, Massachusetts. And the little girl that's downstairs, that's her, you might want to get in here.
Yeah, I'll go with her.
She's a little girl, and I did a pastel for her grandmother, and she was sitting there pulling up her socks, so I took a picture and did it. And then I did the portrait downstairs, and that's a little still life. This is from school when I did this ballerina. This one down here, I might have to do more work on it, but I tore this out of my sketchbook, see? And I do the sketch when I'm there, and then when I come home, then I can do
the paint.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
I did this. This was the one in Germany, when in the mountains and all. And I do the sketches, and a lot of them the other day, my sister wanted them. She said, I like the old sketches. So she took several of them, and she's going to have them framed. These were roses that Bob's two boys brought me on Mother's Day. And I said, how come? I was so surprised because they don't have money. They were just out in high school. And they said, well, when we looked at them, they just seemed to say Tuda. And so we bought them. And they all call me Tuda because it's a nickname when my brothers and sisters, or brothers mostly, I had 7 brothers. And when they started to walk toward me, why, I'd say, come to Matilda, and they'd say Tuda, or finally it boiled down to Tuda. And because when I said it to my grandson, come to Tuda, without thinking, everybody in the family and everybody calls me Tuda now. Tuda.
Who's this little girl up here? That's pretty.
That's Jenny. She had a studio over in Lamora, and a La Petite Saloon, or La Petite Gallery. And that was her granddaughter. And the roses, and of course this was over on the bay off of Sea Isle. This is little Jimmy Robinson. That's a pastel, and I broke the glass on it. It's a shame. And this is in Spain. And I wish this man moved too fast. He was on had a donkey and had the two side saddles, and I couldn't get him till he got up to there. And this is on our St. Lawrence water cruise. And this girl was the waitress, and she was so nice, and I just did her. And then this one back here is in Alaska, the ice glacier, you know.
Yeah, it's nice.
And then, let's see, this is Mary Ann Cotshaw's two grandchildren. This is Harry Brucey. This is the girl, the woman that I wanted to do because she was so, the costume was so fussy. The little boy, these are ones in my class, these children here and here. This is Sherry Ambrosini, the little girl. I did her the next year, and that's with, wait, I'll get a light on. And that's when her hair was braided. And then these are some more of the surfboards. And this was my class. That's Bacon, Lawyer Bacon from Bridgeton. And this is the little ballerinas. My granddaughter was a bumblebee. She hadn't gotten to the tutu stage. And this, I said, oh, I'd love to take her picture. So she put her leg out so awkwardly that I just thought it would make a nice picture with the show youth and all. So I did that. And I did this head, and I did this. This was supposed to be my idea what to do for the Phifers, you know.
Yeah.
And that's my grandchildren. And this is a girl in my class, Edith. That was a watercolor. And that I did. In high school, we were taught how to do linoleum blocks. And instead of just doing it to print, make the black and white replica, why I decided to paint it. And then that was my sister, who's much heavier, says it's her. And back there's a picture of me, Linus, but I don't know if you can see it.
The one on the wall back
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
And this is Cassell's. Now, Charlie Cassell was an architect and a realtor, and he lived in Millville, and he had me do his wife. So then I got him on the beach at 29th Street, and I did the two of them. And his sister, Gladys, was married to Edward G. Robinson.
Wow.
That was, you know, they came to Millville. I lived in Millville in the beginning. And,
Yeah.
So they came there quite often. And this is flowers my brother has in his yard, rhododendrons. And this is up in Nova Scotia, the little ones. And this was out west, where in Wyoming, where you sit there in this church, which had a great, the whole back of it was a big plate glass, and the preacher stood in front of that cross, and these are the Tetons in the distance.
Uh-huh.
And you pay like 50 cents or a quarter, I forget, to go
Yeah.
in and look at it. And that's in my class, and that's Harry, that's Kershaw and his grandchildren, and this is,
Sweet.
Sophie and her neighbors. They aren't her children, but they were all dressed. This is out on the music pier, the end of music pier.
Oh.
And this, she had, and they had dressed all of them in Polish, and it was a Polish, you know, there. They had the,
Oh,
the Polish
neat.
so it was different, you know.
Yeah.
And then this was a sketch of my daughter when she was talking. She never liked that. I did many pictures of her, but to me it was cute. And the little one in the sky. Bill Nutt, who was one of my teachers. In fact, I studied with him for 10 years.
Wow.
He had graduated from Drexel, and he was very clever and very nice. And then he died. But anyway, he had a dance studio. And he told me, he said, you want to watch Gene Kelly? He said, he's going to be one of the
Oh,
best
really?
dancers.
Wow.
And he was so impressed with him because he was the president of the Dancing Teachers of America. And he was very impressed with Gene Kelly. And I can watch Gene Kelly with Singing in the Rain anytime. I just think he's fabulous.
Yeah.
These are just little sketches I've done. The one here at my street, 20th, and this is in Nova Dam in Millville. This was the catamaran. This was the Golden Pavilion in Japan, and for his wife, I did an oil of it, and she bought it. This was a little girl in my class, and she did this, which, if you're an artist, you would realize she just did it with a pen like that, and she was just a little tacker, I think about 8 or 9, and she just did it like this, and I bought it off of her, made her feel good, and I kept her. This is Louis Novak. He was the first chair violinist for the Chicago Symphony for 22 years. And he came to Vineland and he taught music. And my daughter took lessons from him for 9 years. Then she took lessons from Charlotte, our church organist, so she could play the organ and she could play the piano. And then she played the flute in the orchestra in Vineland in high school. And she played the piccolo in the band. So she was really into a lot of music. Now this one, a nude, I was asked to do a nude that would remind them of Renoir. Because the whole play in Bridgeton, Vernon Pepper was directing, the whole play was about whether this was a fake or a real original. So I did my impression of Renoir's painting of the nude. Now, I did my granddaughter when she was 4. I did my grandson when he was 4, and the nude and the plate. And that was in Hawaii. This is the Alhambra in Spain. That's the first painting I ever did.
Oh, how
It's
neat.
Brunetti sand wash on Lincoln Road, Brewster Road, Lincoln Road. And the Pussy Willows, and that was in Africa. This was Still Life, and the flowers, and Mother Seton that I did in Penny, sitting in St. Patrick's Cathedral. Instead of listening, I was busy sketching at home. And this is just a scene. Yeah, now I think you have these. Now over here is Portugal. I usually ask kids what they like best, and my grandson came upstairs. He's my great-grandson. He came upstairs and said, that's the one he liked. And it surprised me because I wouldn't think a little boy.
You must like the colors or
I
something.
don't know.
Yeah.
I said it looked like a patchwork quilt. And this lady, I did. Now, they're supposed to come for it, but they haven't come yet. That's Frank Rogers gave me this picture, asked me to do his wife. She had died 2 years earlier, so this is what I did.
Very nice. Boy, we're going to love that.
And
That's really nice.
this is a Russian Orthodox priest out Landis Avenue, next to the Contento. And this is in China. We were up in Red China. That's as far as you could go at that time. And I said to the little girl, would she pose for me? She said, $1, please. $1, please. She wanted $1 to do it. And that's my first husband. Now, I did portraits of him. And I did portraits of my mother and everybody, but my grandchildren have them, and my daughter had them, and now my grandchildren have them. But that's the only one I have left. We were in China and over in Victoria, and he was in that one. It's a shame it's raining and not nice today, because when you look out here, you can see the ocean, you know.
Oh, neat.
But the sea is all blurred, and the wind is all raining and everything. There's people on the boardwalk. And then the dunes have gotten so high, and then the ocean, unless it's rough, you don't see it, you know, very good from here.
That's very nice.
And this is my garage apartment right here.
Oh, you own that building too?
Yes, the girl who rents it is a school teacher from Pittman. Judy. This is a Lindsay.
Pretty. I love the colors in it.
Thank you. And that's a little girl in my class. And when she was leaving, I wanted to do her because I could put the light on. I wanted to do her because she had on a fake fur collar and a wool hat, and I wanted to see if I could capture those two things.
Yeah.
So I did her. Then the carnations and the troll that I bought in Norway. I have it out there on the bureau, but it's all the green faded out of it. I don't know why. This was what I saw in the sky one night. This is an Afghanistan bride. And this means something to me, maybe nobody else, but that was my mother and my husband and my daughter, and they're all gone. And I took a picture of the back of them because I wanted to get the ferry, and we were going over to Prince Edward Island, and I just thought...
That's nice.
But to me, well, my daughter had it for a while, but then I got it after she died. And because it meant more to me than nobody even knew who it was. That's Mary Ann Cuscott's little granddaughter. And that's in South America. I went up to do a picture of the statue of Christ with his arms stretched out. And it was so foggy, I couldn't even get a picture or see it or do a sketch or anything. So I, on the way down, I saw this, and it was very modern, and I thought, oh, I'll do that instead. Now, over here, that's Jill. Her husband's an air pilot. I did his portrait, and then I did a sketch of her. And that's in Sarasota, Florida. When I was there, my mother was with us, and she said 25 people stood around watching me, and I wasn't even aware of it. I was so busy doing that watercolor sketch. Because that's what I did, sketches all the time, you know, when I had lots of sketches. And this I had won, and because my birthday was in there. This is a model. This, Fran Tyson's children gave her a party for her 90th birthday at the Crab Trap, and when they did, they gave each person a bouquet, so I came home and painted it.
That's a beautiful bouquet.
And then this is where they had an earthquake in Spain. I wish I could think of the name of the town, I can't. This was Heidelberg. I chased this blonde around one whole morning. I chased her around because I wanted to do her picture. I thought she was so pretty. And I tried watercolor after watercolor, but she was so busy moving, I couldn't get her to stand still. So when she was making change for this German housewife, why, I took a picture and I did it from that. And the girl who wants the picture, that looks like her mother to her.
Oh.
So she, Isabel, actually wanted it. That's Mary Elizabeth. She was in my class, and that's the little girlfriend of my daughter's. Her roommate's daughter now. I think I've taken it off. I don't have anything in the bathroom.
And what are those two above the door there?
Oh, that was when I went to graphics. And I did these two, and this one on the right they liked better than this one, so they hung it in the exhibit. I think most people like to have a little more modern, and yet not too modern, and I don't. I paint realistically. That's the way I paint, so I don't try to do anything else. This was a little thing that was on velvet. I taught kids in my class how to have their mother or help them stretch velvet over a piece of cardboard and then paint on it. And I had some that did some nice things with it, too. And this was, I was voted to be in the National Museum of Women in the Arts. That's the National Museum in Washington.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, but you sold a lot, huh?
Yeah. I sell, and I also give out to my family, you know.
Yeah.
Talk my head off.
Listen, now you're going to sit down and we're going to talk to her for a few minutes.
I had a paper that I want to get, but I had to.
All right, we want to do some things that... You taking me?
Yeah.
Now that Matilda has shown you her poem and her lovely work, indeed she should be proud of what she's done, shouldn't she? You know she paints with her left hand after her stroke?
Don't take me, Karen. This is Matilda's thing.